Smith also reported on this. My source was someone else who I trusted. My source was somebody who told me that they saw the emails. I never saw them. If I did, then I would just say I saw them. There'd be no, there'd be no gray area at all, as far as I'm concerned. But I did have to take his word as somebody that I believe that would not be compromised as far as telling me something if it wasn't true. Somebody that obviously completely I trust their integrity, and told me they saw the emails. So I went off of that, not off of Tim Smith. So in my mind, I also stated it in a way where I made it clear that I didn't see them. I made it clear that it's not indisputable evidence. It was just what it was. And something that had also been reported by obviously another entity, by a newspaper. Newspapers usually have to be responsible. They can, they have usually more accountability than the websites. They have more vulnerability for a lawsuit and obviously for damage in those kind of areas. If they're not accurate about their reporting, they're usually not frivolous about reporting because of those boundaries that they live in. So I just made the mention of Tim Smith just to back up that, this isn't the first time this has been reported. I thought it was responsible to say that it's already been reported by Tim Smith. And again, that, the Daily News, of a writer who's been around for a while, who represents an establishment like the New York Daily News, is probably going to make sure that they're careful before they put something quite that strong into print. And again, if I didn't trust my source, I wouldn't have went with it. And again, I tried to qualify it in the best way I thought was the best way to say that this is not proof that this happened. This is just out there. And I actually ended it with that, but I used that just to highlight the point that the man on the street, the people that I had talked to, the people that I care the most about, the fans, that when they're put with there's so many different dimensions of this you can look at. You can look at Mayweather's side, you can look at Pacquiao's side, you can say Mayweather's being an ass, you can say, he's getting under his skin, he's getting in his head, he doesn't want to fight, and that might be possible. Somebody doesn't want to fight, sometimes they ask for too much money. That's a way of not having the fight happen. In this case, you can't do that because the universe of the money is too large. So maybe he does this because he doesn't want it. And there's been people in life, in sports, in professional life, where, their ego, their pride is more important than money at a certain point. Rocky Marciano wanted to retire undefeated. He could have made more money, but he wanted to retire undefeated. It was that important to him. Jim Brown, the best running back in the history of the sport, of football, he could have made more money, but he wanted to retire when he was thought of as the best. That was more important than more money. Maybe that's the case with Floyd. Maybe it is. And I tried to be fair on that side of it this past week and bring that up a little bit more than I did the week before, which I didn't. I tried to make sure that I touched that side of it, which I thought was responsible to do that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to where you have to fall on one side or the other if you're going to be a person who's paid for an opinion. You have to give something that's not always in the middle of the fence, something that there's some risk to it where somebody's not going to like it. And I go back again to the man on the street, and the people I've talked to, just in the most simple, basic form of thinking, they have a problem with understanding when if there's $30 to $40 million on the table, and all you have to do is take a blood test to get that fight, to be able to realize a fight that could be a historic fight, could fulfill all the things that you say you want to fulfill as being labeled and finally printed as the best guy, and of course add $40 million to your bank account. The only thing standing between it is a blood test. if you have nothing to hide, why would you not take that blood test? And that's the simplest way. And again, is it completely fair just to say that? Because there are other, dimensions to this. There are other elements that I just touched on. But if you get real basic, that is a pretty good starting place to say, if there's nothing to hide, then just take the blood test. It won't be the first time you took a blood test. You're not afraid of needles. You have plenty of tattoos on your body. It won't weaken you, because we know that. We know that scientifically that it won't. And the other guy's going to take the same thing. If there's nothing to hide, then why not take it? And again, you can make the argument on the other side that maybe this is his way of asking for too much money. Maybe it's Mayweather's way of being scared of the fight and not wanting the fight and not wanting to take a chance on losing that zero that's attached to his name. Maybe. But at the end of the day, you have to make an opinion that is a little stronger than one or the other if you're going to be a person that does more than sit on the middle of the fence and not take any risk. And there's always a risk when you're going to put an opinion out there like that. And I thought it was worth taking that risk.
Well, Teddy, thank you very much for joining us on our show. We appreciate you giving us all this time and talking about the Theodore Atlas Foundation. Once again, callers, or listeners, I should say, if you want to check that website out,